It's a rainy day here, but just like the United States Post Office says, neither rain, nor snow, nor Garth Knight can keep us from completing our appointed rounds, or something like that. But anyways, even though it's raining outside, there's still stuff we can do on the inside, so let's head in, out of the wetness, into the dryness, see what we can get into. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, just welcome in general. Today we're going to cover kind of a hodgepodge of things related to the semi-trailer and the tractor. Schedule's been tight, things been busy, so trying to get a few things done on mainly the tractor, and I'll explain why here in a minute. But you might be wondering about the bumper behind me. Yes, that is a screen use bumper. That is the bumper that you see on KITT when he is pulled out of the acid pit in Junkyard Dog, believe it or not. The fog light grills are reproductions, but the original mounts were still back there, and those are accurate reproductions. Anyways, that's not why we're here today. So in today's video, like I said, we're kind of doing a little bit of everything. We're going to start off with the trailer, and we're going to start to remove the floor in the lounge. So you guys might remember there's an old linoleum floor on top of the original trailer wood floor, and then on top of that there's tile. So we're going to start removing some of that stuff. We're also going to then switch gears, go back to the tractor. We're going to get the drive shaft lengthened and installed, and we're going to get the air lines hooked back up, because in order to make the tractor mobile again, we needed to do those things. So we're going to get that stuff done, so then we can really think about getting the tractor sent out for new tires, rims, tune-up, everything, so then it's ready for paint, believe it or not. And we'll also answer some of your Patreon flag agent questions once again. They just keep coming in. I love it. Keep them coming. So we'll do that. So like I said, hodgepodge of things, but hopefully you'll join us for them. Let's get going. Hey guys. Well, like I said, it's raining outside, and you can probably hear it hitting the roof of the trailer. We'll just call that ambiance, a little background noise for you. But I thought I'd do kind of a unique angle for what we're going to cover today. So we are in the upper deck, which was the old lounge, which will be the new lounge again. And you can tell it's gone through a couple of renovations over the years. We can see around the border, we've got the original wood flooring, but then there's also a border of this checkerboard linoleum. It's pretty old. I'm pretty sure it was white and black at one point. Now it's like a tan and black, which actually, if you think about it, kind of fits the black and gold theme of the trailer. Anyways, so that was one renovation, but then whenever it was renovated again, someone thought it would be a great idea to put tile in here. Like, there's cement board, and they grouted it and everything. So we need to get this out of here. So I thought, you know, let's just take a sledgehammer and see if we can break up some of this tile, maybe all of the tile, I don't know. And I'm also curious, and I'll bring you down here in a little bit once we've destroyed some of this tile. But you remember there's 3 bolts. We talked about the bolts on the trailer that were added by the studio for the ramp mechanism somehow. We're pretty sure that's what they were all for. There were 3 bolts in the back here. There's one there, one there, one there, and corresponding ones on the other wall. So, you know, was there some kind of a brace that went across the back of the trailer And then who knows, maybe there was like a winch or something on the floor that went up, tilted and over. I don't know. But I'm wondering if we pull this tile up and this linoleum up, are we gonna find anything on the wood floor? Maybe, maybe not. There's only one way to find out, right? And that's to start destroying. So, with that said, enough of me talking. Gonna use our safety glasses, work gloves, safety third, I always say. All right, let's just see if we can destroy some of this tile. I don't know. I've never really had to demolish tile before, but you know, on YouTube, this is how they do it. So I guess that's good enough for me. So let's just see what happens. Got some sparks there. I mean, it's breaking up. Breaking up is hard to do, right? Isn't that what they say? Lots of sparks. Well, whoever the genius was that put this down, really put it down. That's good news. Good news all around. One of those deals that's just gonna take us a while. A long while. Maybe what we can do, at least for this video, those bolts are right here. Maybe if we chip away enough to pull the linoleum back that far, we'll see if there's anything under there. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Two rows. All right, so we made some progress here. We got 2 rows of the tiles removed, enough that we could peel back the linoleum there. We've got a mess here, still have some to go. But what I wanted to show you, and let's see if it'll come through on the camera. So here's what was under the floor. Now, if you remember, I know it's hard to see. Let me try over here. Yeah, there we go. So here are those bolts that I was telling you about, and they've clearly all been cut. And there's one right there, and corresponding ones on that wall. Now, if you line up right where those bolts were, interestingly, there's a line right here. Do you see that? A clear line. Right here. What does that mean? Right? And if we go right here, there's like a cutout. Now, ignore all these screws. Those were screws to hold down the linoleum. Those all still need to come out. But just look at the flooring here and the discoloration, and there was something right there which is not quite, the center is like right here, so it's off center. There was something right there. Clearly, something was right here. So, I guess, you know, maybe there's some more clues under here. We're just gonna have to keep ripping all this stuff out. But for now, what do you guys think was here? More mysteries that we need to solve. Don't you love it? Do you want to help with the Semi's restoration? Donate now to the Semi Restoration GoFundMe initiative or buy one of our awesome Semi Restoration Team shirts. Links are in the video description below. Well, we're going to pivot back to the tractor, take a little break on the trailer, at least for this video, because we got the lengthened drive shaft back. As you recall, the axles of the Semi we had to put back to the way they were back in the show, which meant moving about 18 inches forward. I'm sorry, moving 18 inches back. So in order to do that, we had to get the stock drive shaft lengthened. We just got that back. We're going to attempt to install it. And then we also got all of the air lines, all of the fittings, everything. So our goal here is to make this truck mobile again. And by putting the drive shaft in and getting the airlines hooked up, we'll be able to do just that. So before I install this, let me give you a close-up look at the drive shaft because the guys at the shop did an excellent job on this. All right, take a look at this. Really, really came out nice. Brand new U-joint back here. And they cleaned all this up, painted it. It's ready to go in. It weighs quite a bit. But hopefully, with any luck, we'll get it slid right in there and we'll get it connected right there to that yoke and we'll be good to go. So let's give it a try. All right, so let's see how bad this is gonna be. With one person. Trying to get this in. Yeah, this is not gonna be fun. All right. So we got to get it in right about like this. All right, here we go. Come on. Holy crap, did we? Well, we got it started. Now to get it all the way in. That's not the way. Let's see if I can lift it from the back and push it in. Come on. You do not want to go in. I mean, we got it started here. So what's the hang up? Huh? What is the hang up? Oh, there we go. Oh. Well, step one. Oh, that's in. All right. Now we got that in. Now the question is, can we get that in here? Let's give it a try. We've got a new feature across the Night Rider Historian's YouTube channel, Super Thanks, not to be confused with Super Pursuit. With Super Thanks, you have the option to post a distinct, colorful, and fully customizable comment in our videos comments section. This shows the world that you are a super Night Rider fan and will stand out amongst the sea of comments that we receive. Go ahead, give it a try. And every Super Thanks gets a super response from us. Press the thanks button. Just don't press the turbo boost. All right, so first, if we can get some of this stuff out of the way, at least a little bit. All right, step one. Boy, that's gonna fit real nice. Gonna take these caps off very carefully. All right. Come on. We're real close. Come on. So close. Did we get it? Sort of. Are we in the middle? All right. Come on, Mama. Some light taps. I think we're getting it. This one. This one's a little out of whack. All right, so last step, assuming I did this right, is put these bolts in. I did make sure this drive shaft was not out of phase like the back one is. Thank you, Internet, for letting me know about that. We'll have to, we're gonna address that later. Obviously before it goes on the road, but yeah. So one of the good things about broadcasting this restoration is, you know, if I'm doing something wrong, you guys usually let me know. And that's a good thing, right? I mean, I think we all want this to be done properly. So, there we go. And hopefully I am doing this to everyone's satisfaction. All right, 2 more bolts, tighten them up, and we are done with the drive shaft. Boy, that looks good. And my hands are all greasy, so this is hard to get in. It's all right. And last but not least, this cap. It would appear I might have slightly overdone the grease. It's all right. I always say you can never have enough lube. All right? Sure. Let's get that tightened on. Oh man, this turned out really, really nice. Of course, this is now all greasy and slippery, making it hard to turn. Come on. Okay. There we go. We've got a drive shaft back in the semi. All right. Well, maybe we should start to consider thinking about replacing airlines. We're going to replace, well, all of these with new ones. These are clearly old and original. In fact, you can see on some of these lines, see the red. This is from when it was when the cab was painted red for that 1985 movie. That's red overspray. Same with here, because you can see these are actually green hoses. But look, there's red overspray, red overspray. This line is actually red, so I can't tell if that's overspray or not. But these are definitely the original airlines from the 80s. So they've done their job. I think we'll take them off. We'll save them, of course, but I'm going to replace pretty much all this. So that's going to be fun. All right, so we're back. We've got more of our Patreon flag agent questions and shout outs to do. Now, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, we, the Night Rider Historians, have a Patreon community. And you can find a link to that Patreon community down in the description below. And you can also find it in the corner of this video, like right above my finger. What is the Patreon community? Well, it's a group of supporters that get early access to all of our videos. They get exclusive videos that we never release to the public. They get exclusive photos that are never released to the public. So there's some really good perks there, but we have 4 different tiers in our Patreon community. The top tier are our flag agents. These are our most dedicated, loyal supporters, and when you become a flag agent, not only do you get a shout out in our videos, but you also get any of your questions answered on a video. So if you're interested, check it out. All right, so let's get going. So we have 2 new flag agents for this video. We've got Ram Longoria. That's an awesome, awesome name. Ram Longoria. And Aaron Gus. So Ram and Aaron, thank you so much for your support, and thank you for joining us. So Ram has a question. Whatever happened to Carr? The orange-yellow scanner along with his insides, were they just used on a donor car or used for kit? I'm not sure I understand that. But so Carr, whenever they did Trust Doesn't Rust, and whenever they did kit versus Carr, they didn't buy any additional Trans Ams. They used the ones already in their fleet. So for Trust Doesn't Rust, it was really easy, right? Because Carr looked identical to kit on the outside. Red scanner, no silver paint job on the bottom. So they just used one of the kit cars they already have. And same with kit versus Carr. Obviously, they just replaced the acrylic in front of the scanner with a yellow or an amber lens instead of red, and then they painted the bottom of a few of the cars silver for Carr. So that's where Carr came from. And whatever happened to Carr, most of them, they were converted back to kits once the shows were over. But today there are, let me think here, of the surviving cars, there are two out of the 5 surviving cars were car at one point. And one of the 2 we have was car. In fact, at the very beginning of KITT versus Car, when you see Car buried in the sand and he escapes, that is our car. That's the one that's currently in the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles. All right, Aaron Gus. I'm curious about an aspect of the 3 Firebird Trans Ams secured for the pilot presentation. Why weren't the cars classified as product placement cars, since the Vista Group assisted in the cars being acquired directly from Pontiac GM at the production plant? That is a awesome question, Aaron, and I actually have the answer for this, which is really neat. All right. You're right. Those 3 cars were product placement cars in the beginning. So whenever Universal Studios started using those cars, all 3 were product placement cars. They were not owned by the studio. And an interesting thing happened between seasons 2 and 3. And it only happened with these particular cars. Well, first I should say, out of those 3 product placement cars for the pilot, only 2 made it past first season. One of those cars was destroyed in the first season. So really, we're only talking about 2 product placement cars with this next piece. So between seasons 2 and 3, those 2 product placement cars were converted into studio-owned cars. So they were no longer product placement cars. And that's the reason why both of those cars still survive today. It's because the studio took ownership of them halfway through the series run. There you go. All right, next question from Jason Fractic. In what aspect was Knight Rider originally made? I've only ever seen a 4:3 aspect version on TV, DVD, and Blu-ray. However, if it was shot like a movie on film, then a 16:9 aspect ratio could be released. No, it was 4:3. It was always 4:3. It was never 16:9. And that's why all of the releases you see show 4:3, because that's the way it was filmed back then. And that's the way I think most shows were filmed back then, in that aspect ratio. David Lyons, is what you do with Knight Rider Historians your full-time job? I wish. No, it is not. This is merely a hobby for me and for AJ and for all of us that contribute to this. This is just our hobby. I have my own full-time job, not any way related to Knight Rider. Maybe one day I can say Knight Rider Historians is my full-time job, but not today. All right, and finally, Stephanie Job, do any of the blind drive seats still exist, and how does KITT ride? All right, so that's a great question, Stephanie. So to answer the first part of your question, do any of the blind drive seats still exist? The answer is probably. My gut tells me yes. Have I ever seen any proof? No. Obviously, there were at least 2 blind drive seats, one for the left-hand blind drive car, one for the right-hand blind drive car. They probably had maybe 1 or 2 spares. I don't know. The left-hand blind drive car was crushed when the series ended. The right-hand blind drive car still exists. However, we have evidence, we have photos of both of those cars after the show ended, but before the left-hand blind drive car was crushed. And the blind drive seats are missing out of both of those cars, which tells me someone took them out of those cars, which tells me they're probably out there somewhere. Hopefully one day they'll show up and we can do a glorious, glorious video on those. Second part of the question, how does KITT ride? That's a great question. And the answer is, well, it depends on which KITT you're driving. You know, out of the 2 kits that we have, the one that you've seen on maybe Jay Leno's Garage, and the one that is featured more prominently on this channel currently, drives really, really nicely. It has nice suspension. The engine's awesome, nice power. It's a really nice ride. Now, of course, it doesn't go on the road. We don't drive it on the road regularly or ever. I mean, it gets towed to places or in our enclosed trailer. So, but it rides very nicely. The other car we have, the one currently with Peterson, is a very, very rough ride. Not because of the engine's strong. It's a rough ride because of the modifications done to the car. It's one of the 2 high traction drop down cars. And because of that, they removed A lot of the factory suspension, they put in they put in these hydraulic rams to be able to raise and lower the car. And they also stiffened up the unibody like you wouldn't believe. All of those things contribute to a rough ride. Like you can feel driving over a pebble. It's a whole different experience. So there you go. And I would imagine the other 3 surviving cars ride more along the lines of the smoother ride one that I talked about first than the other one. The one in the Peterson was heavily modified specifically for a reason. The other 4 are not modified like that. So there you go. All right, guys, that is the extent of our questions today. Hope you enjoyed them. And like I said, if you want your questions answered on a future video or you want a shout out, consider joining our Patreon community as a flag agent. All right, back at it. All right, so now we're going to spend a little bit of time working on the airlines, not the airlines like, you know, Southwest, but airlines as in, you know, these guys. Most of these airlines are actually the original ones from GMC, hence from the show as well. But whenever they moved the axles and put the air ride suspension in, they moved the air tanks from in the back where they're supposed to be, they moved them up here. In doing so, they ended up cutting a lot of the original lines to make them shorter, you know, so there wasn't all this excess. So some of the lines you can tell are melted and not in the greatest shape. So we're going to replace most of the original line, pretty much all of the original lines. So I'm not going to bore you in this video with replacing every single line. So we'll just do a couple. I'll do the rest off camera. In fact, I've actually already replaced a couple of them. But I thought, at least for this video, we could, let's hit up maybe the differential lock and maybe the 5th wheel airline and see how that goes. All right, so according to all my diagrams on the truck, this is the line for the differential lock, which is right here. So we got to replace that. And then there's this other line in here that actually goes into the cab, this one right here, and it needs to go all the way back to this port right there. And then here's where we're going to put the coiled air line up to the 5th wheel. So we got those 2 to replace. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I've already loosened that line. Let's get that one out of here. And then this one at some point got cut. So I'll take that out. I'm wondering if for, you know, historical purposes, obviously we can't reuse the, what's this called, a ferrule? We can't reuse that or the line, but there's no reason why we can't reuse this nut, right? And actually, probably reuse this nut too. In fact, it still has some original black paint on it. And some red paint too. I don't know if you can see that from when it was painted red. So I think for historical purposes, let's see if we can save those nuts. All right, so let's get this one off of here, if it'll come off. And you know, it's funny, this line right here, which is the closest part to the cab, is all covered in black and red paint. I don't know if you can see that, because it's overspray from when they painted the cab black and red and then black again. In fact, right there you can see the layers. So that's pretty cool. So we know this was an original line from the show. Some of these lines are dated. I wonder if this one is. I'm not seeing a date on this particular. A lot of them are dated October of '83, which is right about when this truck was built. So that's pretty neat. But all right, so we will save this, maybe offer it to some fans later on. I've already cut the new line, so now let's get new ferrules. That is what these are called, right? The ferrules. And also the sleeves that go on the inside we need. All right, let me dig those out. So I got a whole bag here from the parts store of all the different sizes, of all the different sleeves and whatnot. So the question is, do I have what I need? I think I do. There's a sleeve. This is going to be a bad situation if I drop all this stuff. So we're going to reuse the nuts. Of course, all of the sleeves that I need are at the bottom. There's one sleeve right there. And let's see if I have one more. The 1/4" stuff I didn't get too many of because I didn't need too many. There's a 1/4" ferrule, new ferrule. Now, do I have another sleeve and another ferrule? The answer is, there's another sleeve. And inside of here, if I can get it out, since it's jammed in here, is another ferrule. Come on. Seriously? They're wedged in there. That's just great. Can never be easy. It's always something. Okay, so we got our line here. We're going to get our sleeve installed. We're going to put the original nut back on here. There we go. New ferrule. Okay, so we're going to put this in. And just hand tighten for now. We're not tightening anything down quite yet. All right, so let's feed this through here for now. We'll bundle all this stuff up later. Just trying to get it run for now. And then this, of course, will sit in this bundle. We'll get all that tied up together. So then we'll take this, we'll put the original nut back on this side, if it wants to go in. There we go. New ferrule. Sleeve. All set. So, see how we want to do this. That in. We'll just start it hand tight like that, because what we're going to end up doing is bringing this all up here, getting that out of the way. But there, we got that one line done already. So now let's work on the 5th wheel. All right, so once again, we have the original nut that went on to that fitting. So we are going to take it off and reuse it. All right, so we've got more of our line here. I'm gonna trim that end a little bit. So we're nice and flush. Let's put our nut back on. Ferrule, you get the idea, sleeve, and then put this in right here. Once again, we're just going to hand tighten. And then the plan is we're going to run it along this rail over here. As you can see, I'm not done with some of those fittings, so. All right, so this is going to be a little different because this line right here, this is the old line. It actually goes up through a hole in the cab floor, so that's where we're going to have to run the replacement line. Let's see if we can. All right, so actually, new plan. Let's try, I don't think I can reach my hand in there, so let's see if we can run the new line down. Oh yeah, let's see if we can pull that through. That's gonna be probably easier. Oh yeah, much easier. Now we just have to make sure that we have enough line in here, which I think we will, to run. See, this is the old line, so it's got to run in here to the cab controller, which should not be an issue, I don't think. So there, that looks about good. We'll deal with that part later. So now the question is, do we have enough? I think we do. It's gonna be tight. How close are we? I think we're gonna make it. Just barely. All right. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. If we can, remember there'll be a sleeper over here too, so we should be hopefully in good shape. Let's make sure we still have enough on the inside. Oh yeah, we're gonna be just fine here. Excellent. So we gotta get this out. Get this old line out of here. Actually, we could probably pull this old line out. Now that we have the new one run. There we go. Get that out of the way. All right, so you guys get the idea. I mean, it's just run in line. It's pretty easy. You can also see these are the connections for the seats. The seats also have an air ride, have air ride on them. So we've got to plumb all this stuff up. I think I'm short some of these sleeves in different pieces. So we'll get the seats hooked back up. Get this fixed, do the other lines. We're not too far off from being done with the airlines. And really, once all the airlines are done, we got the drive shaft in, so then the truck can be mobile again, which is a pretty important piece of this. There are the delivery air lines from these service relays over to here. We have to get new ones made because the old ones are dry rotted and they're not long enough anymore since we moved the axles. So got to get a set of those made for the front axle and the rear axle. Got to get a couple plugs. There's one extra, I think this one is no longer needed. So I need a plug for that tank, but then we should be in good shape. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do on the semi is we're gonna replace this pipe, this exhaust pipe. The one on the show was a 36-inch straight pipe with a rain guard on the top. My guess is this was put on, and the reason it was so tall is because they had the sleeper behind it, so they wanted the exhaust to be up above the sleeper. My guess is when the sleeper went away, that pipe was way too tall, so they replaced it. The muffler, the heat shield, all this stuff is original to the show. This pipe isn't. So I'm going to replace this pipe with a series correct pipe with flapper. So let's just see how it looks. It might look a little weird without the sleeper on, but we'll give it a try. First, let's see if this one even wants to come off. Get this exhaust hanger loosened up here a bit. Oh, how about that? Look at that. Well, maybe you can't see that because I'm in the way. There we go. So now, toss that. Replace it with this. Now, the key is, can I do this without falling off the truck? And I'm sorry I'm in the way. Ugh. Is it going to fit? Oh, I probably need to loosen these a little more. Come on. Come on, you little devil. Well, now I've done it. Oh, there we go. A little crooked, but come on. Of course, my ratchet is stuck. I'm sorry you can't see the fun I'm having. Come on. Yeah, that looks about right. Well, let's just tighten this up. Actually, man, I really got this thing jammed in here. Come on. There. Well, that's just barely acceptable. Well, I'd say that looks pretty good, huh? Cool. All right. Let's stand back. Oh yeah. So that even just doing that looks so much better, doesn't it? And the flapper door is facing that way on purpose. That's the way it's supposed to face. All right, one more thing checked off the list. We're getting there. Alrighty, so that should wrap up today's video. We've got, in about 3 weeks, we're getting the tilt deck finally removed from the trailer. Once that's out, we'll really be able to hit the back end of it hard, get the rest of the interior panels out, and really finish gutting the trailer. So more to come, much more to come on the trailer and the tractor too. But believe it or not, disassembly is, we're closer to the end than the beginning. So pretty soon it's going to be time to start build it back up. That should be fun. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it, and we will catch you next time.